Alright, quick disclaimer before we actually start the video. I had previously recorded this video and I did like a whole hour explanation of the combat, and then I realized the audio, there's like double echo and the audio was all fucked up. So I'm going to unlist that initial recording. Like, I'm going to still make that an entire video, but I'm going to unlist that video and put that link in the description for those of you who don't really care about the audio quality, or like don't really care about the double echo and want to still watch that one, because I explain things a little bit differently in this recording compared to my previous recording. So for those of you who want to go like compare the two and see if I missed anything in this one compared to the last one, and just basically compare the two, I will have the original recording unlisted in the description. The audio is not like bad, it's just there's echo. It may be unbearable for most people, but I will have that initial recording as its own video unlisted in the description below. So if you want to watch that, it'll be there. Thank you for all the support. Let's get into the video. Okay, so I'm like kinda annoyed right now. I just spent like an hour explaining this entire combat. Like, I just finished recording this video and it was like an hour long, and then I went back to watch it and realized the audio was all fucked up and there's like double echo, and I know y'all don't want to hear that. So I just wasted an hour of my time recording this video for nothing. I went through and explained everything, and it's all just fucked up now. So I don't know if I'm obviously doing it like again since you're seeing this video, but I don't know how accurate it's going to be to my initial. I'm going to try to go back through and explain everything again, like exactly the way I said it. But I don't know, it's just very, very irritating that this happened. But I mean, we're here. I get to talk about Xenoblade 3 again, so it's not that bad. But a couple things before we start. See, I don't even remember what I said in the last video. Go check out the homies, Xenobits, Link a Lot, Temmie J, and Prez. Go give them some love. I don't even know what else I said at the beginning of the last video, but this is just the first of many. I wanted to cover the combat system as soon as I can, and yeah, so this is the combat explained. I'm doing my best to explain the combat. I'm pretty sure I have like a full grasp on everything, so here I am. And look, we finally got a new member in the bookmark list. Oh, what? But yeah, let's actually go back through this and spend another hour recording this video talking about the combat. Okay.
Why? Let's go!
That is... yeah, it's really annoying I have to do this again. But, okay. I mean, at least I'll be able to explain it better than I did last time, I guess. Okay, starting here. First, over here, I'm gonna just start it the way I did last time. Over here, on the bottom right, this is the art palette, along with the fusion button and the special. Here we see Noah. His arts are ground beat, which is an AoE. It's an AoE attack. Sword strike, which is a side break. Just like Xenoblade 1, there's positioning arts where the effects are only active or perform if you are positioned to the enemy right. So this only breaks from the side, just like Slit Edge, one of Shulk's arts in Xenoblade 1. And then Edge Thrust, back attack up. Self-explanatory. It increases damage when you are behind the enemy. And overall, it seems that this is actually, Xenoblade 3 is actually taking more from Xenoblade 2 than it is from Xenoblade 1, which, you know, Xenoblade 2 is my favorite game, so the more the better. I'm not complaining. But above that, like between the special and the X button, the top and the left button, there's button for fusion, ZR. That is to go into Ouroboros form, and it's obvious that they're using damn near every single button on the controller just for combat itself. All the face buttons A, B, X, Y are used for the specials and or for the arts and special. ZR is fusion, ZL over here is tactics, and then the face buttons for left, up, right, down on the D-pad are all being used over here. Tactics is like a battle menu, and like in Xenoblade X, you can open up a battle menu. You can tell your party members what you want them to do, like, oh, regroup with me, focus on this enemy, focus on attacking, focus on defending, focus on healing, you know, all that type of generic, not generic, but like classic, I guess, RPG type of battle menu. But it seems like every button is being used except for ZL and or L and R, which, just like the other 3 games, I'm pretty sure are just to cycle through enemies. Before I get to the actual characters on the left, there's a dodge button right there. We see Noah like dodge right here, and then use side break. That was not an art where he did that little dodge, because wide slash wasn't even like full yet, so he couldn't have used that to evade, and I will get to that in a second. But here we can obviously see side break. But there is a dodge button, and I don't imagine what it would be. At first I was thinking it could be left on the D-pad where that interlink thing is, but the Ouroboros gauge right there, that's obviously not a dodge button, and I don't know if that's like an actual button or just a gauge to show you something. But also putting a dodge button on the left D-pad, you know, the left D-pad button, while you're trying to move, like trying to do both with your thumb, it's just kind of uncomfortable and weird, and most people can't do that. So I'm not sure what button the dodge button will be, but I don't think it'd be a D-pad button, because that'd just be kind of weird. But here on the top right, that is the enemy counter, and we know that because we're fighting the Kevish trooper right here. There's one enemy, and then once they get close enough to that bigger enemy right there is when it aggroes them and adds to the counter. Right here, over here on the left, Noah, all the way down the center, they have these each individual like red, blue, or green icons next to their name, and this green icon was fucking me up all day yesterday. I spent like all day yesterday trying to figure out what the hell that green icon means, and I finally figured it out. You know, in the last recording, when I was like recording this video before this, I figured it out in the last recording. There's a lot of stuff that I like realized and figured out during that recording, and I'm so mad that I have to redo it, because then y'all can't like see my reaction to it or anything. But Noah and Senna have this red sword icon by them. Like weapon classes are back, or I guess they're called roles now, which I discovered. See what I mean? It's so annoying. But the red is for attack. Like in Xenoblade 2, there was attacker blades, tank blades, and healer blades. That's kind of the same, with Noah and Senna being attackers, Lance and Mio being defensive tanks, and then Tyon and Iuni being healers. So the green icon is a healer. I finally figured that out. And this blue shield next to Lance, Noah, and Lance, Iuni, Tyon, not Lance, fuck, Noah, Iuni, Tyon, and Senna. That's basically indicating that they received a defense buff. If you can see, it's over Iuni, Noah, Senna, and Tyon. Like in the actual overworld, you can see the shield above each one of their heads, and these blue circles around Lance and Mio, from what I drew, that it means that those are the tanks. So the blue circle around Mio and Lance signify that they are the tanks, defensive tanks. And the Kevish trooper up here at the top of the screen, Level 30, next to that, it shows like a little icon. That is to show that they are like a human type enemy or some type military trooper type of enemy. And then each enemy will have a different icon up there, but for this one is to signify a human type enemy. And then before, I completely forgot to mention this, but Glow Ring and Wide Slash, we already know Mio or Noah's arts over here on the right. Over here on the left are Mio's arts, and this is kind of like Torna with Vanguard and rear arts, which makes me really happy. But we know these are Mio's arts over here on the left, which I will get to in a minute. Glow Ring, Target Lock, Wide Slash, Evade. Wide Slash is a guaranteed evasion art, and then Target Lock is kind of like a taunt where like draws all aggro for either a certain amount of time, or it gives her a certain amount of aggro. So maybe, so it's no, not maybe, it is like Torna where it's like Vanguard and rear arts, because each character is linked up with each other. Noah is linked with Mio, Uni is linked with Tyon, Lance is linked with Senna, respectively. So it's kind of like some Torna type stuff where it's like rear and Vanguard, which is really cool. And as I'll explain later in the video, each character can link up with a different character that isn't their intended link. So like Mio can link with the Uni, she can link with Senna, Lance, Tyon if she wanted to. She's not stuck to just Noah. And right here we see down at the bottom for Mio's arts, Wide Slash, Evade. That's her art, so we know that was Mio's art in the previous scene with Noah. Okay, before anything, I know y'all see him back there on the right. Y'all see Territorial Rotbar back there, all right? He's coming. Okay, don't sleep on him. He's back there. He's waiting. But Mio, her arts are Butterfly Blade, High Aggro. I assume high aggro means either it gives her high aggro or she does increase damage when having high aggro, but I kind of changed my mind when I saw Airfang aggroed up. Like she obviously deals more damage when she is aggroed. So high aggro either means she gains a lot of aggro, she draws aggro, or it's also just like another, oh, if you have high aggro, increased damage. Wide Slash, Evade, which is obviously an evasion art. I didn't even go over Noah's special. Overclock Buster, Dazed Up, so it does increased damage to dazed enemies. And then Chain Attack, self-explanatory. But yes, driver combos from Xenoblade 1 and 2 are returning. Both forms of driver combos, so break, topple, daze, and then break, topple, launch, and presumably smash. Now you may be thinking, what, how do you know this? We only see break, topple, daze in the trailer. No, okay, in like 2 or 3 frames later on, we actually see launch. Like, these motherfuckers thought they were slick and trying to hide it from us, but we see launch for like 3 frames later on in the trailer. So both types of driver combos are returning. Here, Mio, her special is Gemini Strike, High Aggro, Evade. So guaranteed evasion art with the high aggro thing. And then, okay, there's a lot. As we can see, break. Break appears in the top left next to the enemy health bar. And in the form of like a circle or, you know, a clock. Before in Xenoblade 1 and 2, it just show as a bar that would deplete above the health bar, just like a regular straight bar. But here it's in more form of circle. And Xenoblade 3 is taking on like a big theme for Xenoblade 3 is circles, because obviously the Ouroboros is in the form of a circle, and that's like two meanings, either like the Ouroboros or like circle of life, or life has come full circle, because the main theme of Xenoblade 3 is life, and by that extension death. So like the phrase, oh, my life has come full circle, or you know, the circle of life. But yeah, Xenoblade 3 is really big on circles, if you know, you couldn't tell, because now the chain attack meter is also a circle instead of a bar at the top left of the screen. And here, I already talked about how around Lands and Mio right here, the blue circles show that they are the defensive tanks. This bigger blue circle around her is actually a field art. Okay, and Taion is casting evasion up, so a field art. Whoever is casting that buff is like, you know, a circle that forms around them on the field, and whoever is standing in that circle receives that buff. So we can see Taion is casting evasion up, and we see Mio, Taion, and Senna standing there in that circle. And if you look over here on the left, Mio, Taion, and Senna have this blue arrow next to their name, signifying that that is a buff and that they are receiving that buff. And more proof is down here in the middle at the very bottom of the screen, this blue arrow. So we're playing as Mio, this blue arrow right there showing that we have that buff. So field buffs will appear as a big blue circle, and whoever is inside of that circle receives that buff. And as soon as they walk out of that circle, that buff is gone. So that's what the blue arrow by the names signify, and that's what that blue circle is. And then here for the enemy, we can see it's a different icon to show that they're like a beast type enemy. And before, in my previous recording, I said these blue flares are kind of like Xenoblade X, where it signifies the size of the enemy, and like each time the enemy gets bigger, the flares turn a different color and get more designed. But after seeing a certain enemy, I kind of like went back on that because I was confused. It kind of like destroyed that whole theory, because here we saw the Kevis Trooper, which was just, you know, regular human-sized enemy, so there's no flares. But here on the Brog, we see blue flares by its health bar, so that's like the next level above human size, and then whatever size this is, and then the next level above that size will get even bigger flares with orange, and then after that would be red flares with an even bigger design, which is like the biggest type of enemy. So just like in Xenoblade X, like the Mylosaurs, compared to like Prone, like each, like the enemies have different sizes, and the flares next to their health bar represent the size. But a certain enemy later on kind of like debunks the whole thing. I don't know, it may still be true, and the flares just disappear when a driver combo is active, but you can see that's cap because it's obviously still there even though this driver combo is active. Or maybe it just disappears during days of launch. Still don't know if there's any truth to that. But here, the Brog, underneath the Brog's health bar is like 3 dots in a red arrow. It looks like a square, but it's like actually just a fat arrow. This whole time I thought it was bleed, but that's actually ether defense down, and that is a debuff. And then Taion over here also has a debuff, and by this I thought that could be bleed. It kind of looks like it, but that may be physical defense down. I don't know. But here we actually see Mio use Gemini Strike, her special. So unlike Xenoblade 2, where you can build up specials from level 1 all the way to 4, and the level 4 special has evasion, like has complete invincibility, it looks like we no longer build up a special gauge, and every special itself just has like a guaranteed evasion and a little cutscene to play along with it. So it's essentially every special is a level 4 special, which would be really cool and kind of broken if you can just spam that. If you can just find a way to build up special gauge pretty quickly and just spam specials, you can almost never get hit, which is kind of dumb, but it's kind of nice. And here we see a driver combo being performed. So I don't know if it's like the other party members performing the driver combo, or if it's like the special itself performing a full driver combo, because we see that later on. And if like the specials themselves perform a full driver combo, that's like really scary. But at least it's not scary as Jin in Xenoblade 2 performing an entire driver combo just off of 2 arts. So man, I really wish Jin came back in Xenoblade 3. I know he's not going to because he's like hella dead, but it'd be nice to see Jin here. I want to see my boy. But we see Topple and then Days right here. So obviously we know Days is in here, but you'll see Launch later on. Skip this. And now we get on the Ouroboros combat. Okay, before we explain all that, the equites right here, whatever this mechanical enemy is, it has a different icon next to its level to signify it's a different type of enemy. And again, right here we can see Noah's Vanguard arts and then Mio's rear arts. And then here by the characters we see their name, their level, HP, bar and value, and then that green little bar. At first in the last recording I said that was that was experience, but there's another third bar under that, like a purple bar. I think we can see it with Senna earlier in the trailer. It might, yeah, right here. There's like a purple bar under Senna's name, and then Mio and Noah. So maybe that's TP, which I will explain later on in the video. And since it's purple, it gives more credence to that, but I'll explain that later, TP later. But they have a health bar, their experience bar, and then maybe that's a TP bar down there.
Strong desire or emotion.
Okay, I skipped way too far ahead. Okay, and then obviously ZR is to form the Ouroboros, and you see Noah and Mio going into Ouroboros, and then this blue ring around Lands and Mio shows that they're a tank, and then this red line going from Noah to the enemy, kind of like Fire Emblem 3 Houses. I'm guessing that's to signify aggro, along with this blue line going from Lands to the Kevis soldier. And the reason that there's 2 different colors to like easily identify like whatever character you're playing as, the aggro line will be red, and then for like a party member, if they gain aggro, it'll show as blue. And I'm not sure what that red exclamation point above Lands' head is. Maybe that's like a taunt to draw aggro. Remember in Xenoblade 1, those little mechon or whatever, little crawling mechon, when they spot you, they get the red exclamation point above their head and they go call for backup or whatever. So that could be what that is, but Lands is using it, and like that doesn't make any sense. So maybe that could just be him drawing aggro. And then for the debuffs, it's ether defense down for the enemy, and whatever this key down is, I have no clue what the hell that means, and like I'm not even going to attempt to explain it. But here we see Noah and Mio are in the Ouroboros form, and you can actually cancel this anytime you want. Down here in the interlink level, whenever you use a special or an art, this interlink clock or gauge will fill up, with obviously specials doing more than arts. And then once that fills up, you'll be able to use more arts. I don't know if the max level is 3 or if it's 5, but over here for the actual Ouroboros arts, you have Phantom Slash, which at interlink level 3 is break all. So once the interlink level fills up to 3, it basically like stream edge. No, it's not AoE. It could be AoE, but at Interlink level 3, Phantom Sash will gain the ability to break all enemies. So I'll explain that later. And then Bounding N is AoE Annul Guard. At first I said Annul Guard was like to pierce, but if you look at the special that has pierce, so Annul Guard percent, it could be like a certain, when you use Bounding N, it has a certain percent chance of annulling guard, which is effectively just pierce. So I don't know why they gave it two different names, or maybe that's just like block rate, but I'll get to that later. So it has a certain percent chance of annulling guard, or it's like it does an increased amount of damage to whatever that percent is. So it's kind of like reverse damage reduction, damage increase for like a certain like percentage. And then Unison Strike is obviously high crit rate. That's self-explanatory, as has a higher rate of hitting a crit. And then if you look up here in the left, Noah and Mio, where the health gauge is at, that is not a health gauge. It has been confirmed by the Japanese Xenoblade 3 Twitter account that these forms are called Ouroboros. So I was right about that in my video yesterday. But also they confirmed that Ouroboroses can overheat. And this is the overheat gauge up here with Noah and Mio. That is the overheat gauge. It's kind of like Charlotte and Xenoblade 1. But once this gauge fills up passively over time, either that or I think it fills up every time you use an art. But no, that fills up passively over time. And once that hits the full, once that gauge gets full, you're like kicked out of Ouroboros form. You have to wait for it to cool down. So you can't just stay in Ouroboros form the entire fight, because that'd be kind of broken. But I'm sure there'd be some type of skill or some type of skill, art, armor piece, affinity chart, or whatever that like reduces cooldown or lessens the amount that the meter, you know, fills up, because it seems to fill up pretty quickly until like maybe later in the game for some story event or some item or something you get to decrease the amount it fills up. But once that meter fills all the way up, you are kicked out of Ouroboros and you have to wait for it to cool down. And you see here it says level 0 underneath them. So initially I thought the Ouroboros could have their own levels. So like the characters and the Ouroboroses have their own like separate levels and skills and arts, obviously, kind of like Xenoblade X, where the skills have their own arts and levels and everything, and then the party members themselves have their own arts and levels. So maybe it's like that, because Monolith seems to be taking a lot, and I mean a lot, of inspiration from Xenoblade X. But here, more proof. Taion is casting Evasion Up, which is a field buff between him and Lands is just barely out of range, but Uni and Taion are in that circle, so they both gain the Evasion Up. You can see by the blue arrow by their names, but you see Uni has a second arrow, and that's because she's casting Attack Up on herself. So buffs do stack. Okay, buffs stack in this game. I don't know if it's up to 3 or up to 5. Most likely 3, because 5 buffs all at once is kind of broken, and we get some more evidence for that later on. But yeah, Uni has Attack Up and Evasion Up, so buffs do stack up to 3 in this game.
So you can take motion.
And obviously, I think I already said this, but yeah, I will be going over other parts of the trailer. I'll be doing a bunch of different videos focusing on different things. Like right now, I'm explaining all the combat. I might, in another video, I'm going to explain like the areas. Another video is like the characters, like new characters, story events, all that. Everything's going to have a like own separate video. But right now, I just want to focus on explaining the combat. And in here, finally, the game tells us when we've been broken. Or like having a driver combo performed on us. Like in Xenoblade 2, you'll get broken, but it doesn't really tell you that you'll get broken, except for it'll show like break by the character, but it won't show up by the health bar. So you don't know how long it lasts, and you don't know if you're gonna have to like evade through a topple or not, which y'all know I struggled with in my Bringer of Chaos runs during Aishima's Core. But here we see the break icon next to all the party members, so everyone's broken right now. And then for Uni and Taion, for their Ouroboros, their arts are Ether Collider, Interlink level 3 days all. So once they hit Interlink level, and their Interlink level is already at 1, and it looks like it's halfway to 2. Once that hits level 3, their Ether Collider will gain the effect days all. I don't know if this is like all the enemies are like, it just dazes whatever enemies are broken, or if that's like a force daze, because that would be fucking scary as shit. Force daze would be scary. And then Typhoon Field AoE, area heal on hit. So it's an AoE attack, and it hits or it heals every time it hits, as you can see by these green numbers right here. Raptor Raid AoE, accuracy down, evade. Self-explanatory is AoE attack. It causes accuracy down on the enemy, and it is a guaranteed evasion art. Now, Sacred Cannon, this is like the one thing I don't know, and it's really confusing. AoE, obviously, Mobius up and unblockable. Maybe Mobius is a certain type of enemy, and the special does increase damage to that type of enemy, because I have no idea what the hell a Mobius is. And then unblockable could basically like just completely disregard all block rate. So it's kind of like Pierce but for block rate, where it's a guaranteed, you know, like the hit connects, kind of like the auto balancer in Xenoblade 2, where you don't get stumbled when the enemy blocks an attack. But for this, like they won't block an attack even with their Blade could have like 100% block rate, and every attack will still hit. It like basically completely disregards block rate. That is assuming block rate and everything is returning, which I don't see why it wouldn't, considering they're taking a lot of stuff from Xenoblade 2. And I'm taking a lot more from Xenoblade 2's combat than 1, because Xenoblade 1's combat was just kind of garbage and just really boring. So, I mean, but there's also a timer right here below the enemy health bar. And you can see the enemy health bar has these bigger, more colorful flares to signify this Arduin right here, a bigger enemy than the Brog. So it could signify the size of the enemy, but as you'll see in a second, I'm not too sure on that anymore. But there is a timer right here, and it is counting up instead of counting down. So maybe Overdrive is back as well, since yeah, they said that Xenoblade 3 is like combining Xenoblade 1 and 2, but they're also using a lot of X elements, so they could be using stuff from the entire series. So I wouldn't be surprised if Overdrive did come back. And maybe like in Xenoblade X, the Skells and the party members had their own separate overdrives. There's overdrive, and then there was overdrive and then infinite overdrive. And I forgot to mention this before, but I'm pretty sure motherfuckers will find a way to like activate or have like infinite Ouroboros, because there's a gauge right here. I'm pretty sure it's going to be some type of like skills or affinity chart or something to like reduce the amount of overheating for the Ouroboros gauge. So I won't be surprised if there's like a way to infinite Ouroboros, but perhaps there's like regular overdrive for the party, and then Ouroboros overdrive with their own like arts and everything. And that would be kind of scary because overdrive was already broken in Xenoblade X, but just imagine that, but with Ouroboros. The enemies are not gonna have a good time. And initially I thought that above the enemy health bar was their name because we saw the Kevis Trooper, but this is Horn Dance, and like in the next, I think in the next scene we see it says Finna Fire or Finna Fear, either one of those, and those are not enemy those are not enemy names. So maybe that's just the art that the enemy is using at that time, and it just covers their name. And as we can see, the debuff on the enemy is ether defense down and then like a lock on, so it's kind of like a taunt lock on type of debuff. And then right here we see Lands and Center are about to like reach the maximum. They're about to reach their overheat gauge, which could be why they're glowing red, which I now just noticed in this video that I didn't even realize like in the last recording of this video. But we see the blue flares on the health bar, and we see ether defense down, that taunt thing or whatever, and then basically a defense buff or debuff, and it looks like it's like canceling out the defense. So maybe it's just like full pierce for everything, and that either that's just ether defense or just physical defense down, but either that or just completely annuls defense. And that's like a really good debuff to have. Instead of just like defense down, it completely annuls it. But I have no clue what this exclamation point right here is next on the right of the health bar. I have no idea what that could be, and like I'm not even gonna try. I've gotten down almost everything in this combat except for that. I do not know what that means. But here, this is what I was talking about, that maybe specials can perform entire driver combos on their own, because during the special right here, an entire driver combo is performed, and like Lands and Senna, like the animations match with the driver combo. So maybe at least Ouroboros specials form or perform an entire driver combo on their own. See, break right here, topple, and then right here for like 3 frames we can see launch. Okay, we can, for like a couple frames right here, we can see launch right here, so with the like arrow up. So that's proof that both driver combos are coming back. And if you don't believe that, literally look over here to the right, it says launch right there. So they thought they were slick and they tried to hide that from us. But no, knowing the Xenoblade community, but we will scour every single frame of any type of new information or trailer we get. We will scour like every little scene or every little frame for like some type of reference or information or hidden detail. God damn. And then we see the Caliber Scorpox down there below them. Only reason I remember their name because I was grinding in Torna for them. I was like grinding in Torna last night, and I was fighting a lot of them. And we can see Iuni actually way over there by one of the Scorpox on the left. She looks like she's made out of paper. She looks like so flat. But yeah, launch is back, so we get both driver combos, break topple days and a break topple launch, and presumably smashed, since launch is here too. But they cut this off so quick that launch doesn't even get to appear under the icon, and we don't even get to see smash. And then that is not it. There's more combat, like right here. Okay, Iuni, days. See, now the Mora is a big enemy, and it, you know, it's bigger than Ardun, but it doesn't have the flares on each side of the health bar. So once I saw that, I was like, huh, maybe those flares don't signify the size of the enemy. And we see here the icon next to the level is different to signify that it's a different type of enemy. Maybe that's to signify a flying enemy because it looks like a wing. But yeah, this Aing Moramora, it doesn't have flares on the side. And it's a pretty big enemy, so maybe that doesn't signify size like we thought. And 7 party members. We have 7 active party members with Riku and Manana. They're paired together and they count as 1. So I remember back when the first trailer dropped, everyone was like, oh my god, we get 4 party members just like X, because we had 4 like party members out on the screen, like out in the field at once. Everyone was like, oh my god, 4 party members, it's like X. But little did we know, we get 7 active party members. That's a lot of damage. So like 7 damage output like sources all at once. That's kind of fucking insane. Okay, and then Riku and Manana are attackers, and then here we see Uni's arts are Myopic Screen, which causes daze, and Myopic Screen is a Xenoblade X art. Like there's an art in Xenoblade X named Myopic Screen, so it's really nice to see that. Group heal, which is an AoE heal, it just heals the entire party. I was thinking, oh, maybe that's a field heal, but no, it would say field instead of AoE, so maybe that's just like a group heal. Well, I mean, it literally says group heal right there, so like heals the entire party. And then Power Ring is like that field art we saw Tyon cast earlier with evasion up. This time it casts attack up, so when she uses Power Ring, it creates a circle around her, and who's ever standing in that circle will receive an attack up buff. And then her special is Healing Ring Field Regenerate. So just like Power Ring, it casts like a field, it casts a circle in the field, and who's ever standing in it regenerates health. And just like in Xenoblade 1, when Melia uses Summon Aqua, she receives a regenerate buff. And you know, over time she regenerates health. So whoever is standing in that circle, the healing ring circle that Uni grants, will recover health over time. And as soon as they step out, they no longer recover health. And then back here we get to see some of Tyon's arts, because we don't see Tyon being controlled at all in the trailer. So this is like the only time we get to see his arts. We see Dark Banner, which is AoE sleep, causes sleep, and then Overfall, Ether Defense down, which is what that 3-dot debuff is on the Moramora right now. And you can see right here, Uni's group heal and Tyon's Overfall are like kind of linked together. It's like arts have affinity with each other, which is really weird because we kind of see this later on in the trailer. So, and it's like more defined, more pronounced, transparent, or opaque connection between the arts. So maybe in the arts you can use like both arts at the same time if they're like linked together. That would be kind of weird. It wouldn't be too bad casually, but for like specific builds that might fuck it up a little. But apparently arts are linked together and you could like use them as at the same time. It's really weird. I don't know what all that's about, but yeah, these areas look beautiful. But I'll, again, like I said, I'll go over all that in another video. Here, this is very, very important. New party member, Xeon. He is a Kevis Hyantia, and he is a half-breed. You can see his little wings in his portrait. So if you look over here, ground beat above Noah's art, ground beat, that is Xeon right there. And he is a Kevis soldier. And then down to the right of him, we see Iyuni. And Iyuni's wearing Tyon's outfit. Now, I'll get to all this. I'll get to that in a second with like swapping weapons and everything. But we see Iyuni using Tyon's weapon and clothes. And then next to her is Xeon. And then in the middle, we see Lance using Noah's weapon and clothes. Next to him, we see Noah using Lance's weapon and clothes. And then by Lance's sword, that's Senna down there. using Mio's weapon and clothes, and you can kind of see that green right there next to Noah. That is Tyon using Uni's weapon and clothes, and then way over there by Xeon's little character portrait, we see Mio using Senna's weapon and blade, or weapon and clothes. So characters can swap weapons with each other, and I'll get onto that in a minute. But if you see over here to the left, Noah, Tyon, Lance, and Senna all have 3 buffs. So maybe the maximum amount of buffs is 3 for each character. And no, I'll get to that later. Yeah, Lance right here, for example, has a defense buff and then 2 other attack up buff and an evasion up buff. Because you see attack up, you see that little field ring, and then evasion up, that little field ring. So it looks like either, I think Senna is casting attack up. I think you think it Tyon because you saw Uni casting that earlier, and he's wearing Uni's weapon and clothes. But maybe that's Senna casting attack up, and then we see Xeon over here casting evasion up, and then Lance is in the middle of them, like a Venn diagram type thing. So he gets both. He gets both buffs. And then right here we can see Tyon's or Lance's arts, and it seems actually when you swap weapons with a character, like the character you're controlling, their weapon or their arts move to the rear arts on the left, and whoever's weapon you're using, those are your main arts on the right. So maybe arts are tied to weapons instead of the characters themselves. And we see ground beat, sword strike, and then a new art, air slash, and cancel attack up. So canceling auto attacks into arts are back, which means yes, Xenoblade 2 version of combat is back, where you have to stop to auto attack and you can cancel arts, and I assume auto attack canceling. I don't know, I like Xenoblade 2 combat a lot more than 1. It's more dynamic. But yes, you do have to stop to auto attack again, and you can cancel arts. You cancel auto attacks into arts and specials. But Lance's arts, maximum voltage, unblockable, attack up. I'm guessing that grants attack up when you use it, and unblockable like I had said before, and then giant swing, which grants knockback, or it deals, knocks back the enemy.
I've never used this kind of.
Here, new party member Valdi. He is a little, Machina boy. In the last video I said, oh, that's baby Lance. But no, this is a new character. His name is Valdi. And up here on the enemy health bar, you see those red flares now, because that's a big enemy. That's bigger than an Ouroboros. So maybe those flares do signify sizes, or they could signify levels, but that doesn't make sense because the Brog at the beginning when you're playing as Mio was lower level than the party. So I don't think they'd have any flares if they're low level. But this enemy is either a higher level than the party, or it's obviously a lot bigger. But here we can see Tyon is using Uni's weapon. This right here in the middle is actually Noah using Senna's weapon, and then Mio using Lance's weapon, Lance using Mio, and then way in the back, it's hard to see, but you can see her way back there. That's Senna back there using what's his name, Noah's weapon. And over here on the left, underneath Valdi's name, you can actually see like a weapon. You can see like a little weapon move over here, right there. You can barely see it, but like behind Valdi, you can see this like a weapon move over there. So that's probably like Uni or Valdi over there, because we don't see them anywhere. But for Senna's arts, he has big impact, front blow down, so it blows down from the front. Hammerhead, side attack up, increase damage from the side, and then Giant Swing, knockback, which grants knockback, and then Infinity Blade, it's an AoE and it pierces, and then okay, yeah, it's still Overclock Buster for Noah's weapon. Also, Noah's weapon has the word Buster in it, and his sword is like a mix between the Aegis sword and the Monado. So I thought that was really cool, attention to detail, and you can even see like the blue beam coming out of it. So it is like a replica Monado Aegis sword type thing.
I've never used this kind of blade before.
Chain attack. This is important. Obviously, we can see the chain attack still has the Trinity processor design on it.
But all the techniques I
And it has this really cool like little anime cutscene where everyone's eyes just like sparkle. It's really cool. Here, I kind of like went through an entire thought process here in my last recording. Like I was confused what everything meant and then like figured it out as I went through. It was so funny. That Tyon, I don't know what that little blue symbol over Tyon's name is, or next to Tyon's name, next to his buff, what that blue symbol is. I have no clue. But at first, what I had said is that TP gauge, TP is returning from Xenoblade X. There's a TP gauge, and there's this 12 TP you can see here. Battle Affinity TP, Fusion TP, and then Roll Match TP. So the Roll Match TP, I assume it meant from like healer, attacker, defense, because if you look, everyone has different like roles now. Noah's now a healer, Mio's an attacker, Iuni and Tyon are defense tanks, Lance is a healer, Senna's attacker, Rico and Manana are attackers. So it seems like when you swap weapons, you swap classes or roles as well, because we see this is Mio using Noah's weapon and she's an attacker. But I was thinking, oh, maybe because Noah is a healer now, and at first I thought maybe, you know, the respective pairs, Noah and Mio, Iuni, Tyon, Lance, Senna, like they can switch weapons with each other. But Noah is a healer now, and Mio was a defensive tank. So if he's using Mio's weapons, he would be a defensive tank. So does that mean he's using either Tyon or Iuni's weapons? So then I thought, oh, maybe you can switch weapons with any party member. Like Mio, she can switch weapons with Iuni, Tyon, Lance, or Senna instead of just being stuck with Noah. But then I realized everyone would have to change weapons if that were the case, because say Mio wanted to use Senna's weapons, she would have to give Senna her weapon. Wait a minute. Okay, never mind. Now that I'm thinking about it, it's starting to make more sense. In the last recording, it made no sense. But no, so every party member does not have to swap weapons if you want to swap a weapon with their irrespective counterpart. So say Mio wanted to use Senna's weapons, Senna would have to give her weapon to Mio. But if Noah wanted to use Senna's weapon, Senna or Noah would switch his weapon with Mio, and then Mio would get Noah's weapon, while Noah got Senna's weapon, and then Senna would be holding Mio's weapon. It's like, it sounds really confusing, but I'm pretty sure you could figure out what I'm trying to say and how this all works. So every party member, each character can basically use whoever's weapon they want. And okay, up here it says Avis. At first I thought it said Elvis, like first time watching this trailer, and I was about to pop off. I was like, what? Elvis? No way. I've been telling y'all this whole time Elvis is returning. And then this enemy has a new icon right here that is like to show us a different type of enemy, and it has a buff. And now I am just seeing this frame right here, and holy shit, everything makes so much more sense. I didn't see this like ever at all till just now. So yes, I was right. Right here we see First Blood. That is a chain attack art.
But all the techniques I can use.
Oh no, can I?
Techniques
I might not be able to get that frame again. Okay, right here. This is huge.
Techniques I
This is actually huge. So we see Mio right here. So at first I thought, oh,
used with it.
so the TP gauge right here, this 12 TP is added to the TP gauge. And like every turn, so you see Noah had 35, Mio 25, Uni 25, Tyon 35, Lan, Senna, Riku, Manana all have 15. It's like, oh, maybe that's the requirement. Like you have to have that amount of TP in the TP gauge in order to use their art, their chain attack art. And I thought each character had like one chain attack art. And you had to have the required TP, like how many. You have to have a certain amount of TP in the gauge in order to use their respective art, with 15 being the lowest amount. And then after every turn, you get a certain amount of TP based on like different roles or whatever. Or like based on different requirements, you get a certain amount of TP added. But now I realized that the 30, 25, 25, 35, 50, 50, 15, all of that, it adds that amount of TP to the gauge instead of that being a requirement. And then for the tactical points gauge up there, the 0%, I was thinking maybe once you have a certain amount of TP in the middle, the gauge will go up. Say if you like hit 50%, it'll add like 1 or 5% to the gauge. And once you hit 100%, you would perform like Xenoblade 2 is like a full burst. Once you break all the orbs or a certain amount of orbs, fill up the full burst gauge, you could like perform a full burst here in chain attack, but it'd be like in form of a blade combo finisher. If you see right here, Brave Assault, it kind of uses this type of like dynamic screen with these red bars once you complete a blade combo in Xenoblade 2, so that could be what it is. But right here, I didn't even see this frame. Yes, the characters have different different arts they can use during chain attack, and then you can press plus to end the chain attack. I did not see that before because here for like 2 frames, but I thought, how would there be a way if the TP right here, the 30, 25, all that, if that's not a requirement? Because I thought, oh, if there wasn't enough TP in the gauge, like in the middle at the end of a turn, and there wasn't enough, at least 15 to perform an art, then chain attack would finish. But then I realized that's the amount of TP that's added to the gauge right there. You know, the party members, that's the amount of TP added to the gauge instead of taking it away. So I was like, then you kind of get to just sit and chain attack like forever and never, like, there's no chance to fuck it up, which would just be kind of boring if it's just completely free. But now I see you can end the chain attack with plus, and you can actually use different chain attack arts. I didn't even see this in the last recording. This is, whoa, this like changes everything. But yeah, as you can see here, Mio had 25, she added 25, and then she's adding 12 to the gauge. And then here's 15, it goes to 33 after Mio uses, or Riku and Manana used their arts. And you see there's a completion bonus. Attacks during chain attack gain 70% chance to bypass defense. So every time you successfully pull off an art, attacks gain a 70% chance to basically pierce. At first I thought this was like post chain attack damage, or like post chain attack effects, where completion bonus, after you complete the chain attack you get a certain buff. But now I'm seeing is attacks during chain attack and not attacks after chain attack. So I thought like after chain attacks you get a party-wide buff that would last until the next chain attack or until the end of the battle, and I thought the completion bonus for the chain attack was random every time you chain attack, or like in Xenoblade X with Soul Voices, you can change it around in a menu to like what you want the chain attack completion bonus to be. but now I realize this is only during chain attacks and not after. But after, see that tactical point gauge up there, 50%, that could be when you fill that up all the way, then you unleash the air quotes like blade combo finisher that we see Noah doing right here. And the Noah is using Tyon's weapons and swapping weapons. That's just, it's just really cool. And here, this is important. Here in Xenoblade 3, Overkill is back. In Xenoblade 1, once you chain attack and you kill an enemy, it automatically ends the chain attack once the enemy is dead. In Xenoblade 2, once you kill an enemy in chain attack, if it's still going, it goes into Overkill and you get bonus experience, like extra experience, weapon points, and skill points as an Overkill bonus. So it looks like that is coming back as well. Yeah, it looks like Monolith is taking into account the complaints, and like Monolith is like very, very good with like taking feedback and building on that. So like maybe they're seeing how much people are complaining about how boring Xenoblade 1 combat is and just how trash it is, and they're, you know, using Xenoblade 2's combat. Yeah, I know that's gonna be controversial, but yeah, Xenoblade 2 is better than 1. Cry about it. I said it. I'm one of those people. But yeah,
that can change all this.
yeah, that's all the combat we see.
Not that I
And all the rest of it is just trailer.
find it.
I'm gonna end it here on Mio because look at her. I love Mio. I love my Gromati girls, Nia and Mio, best girls in Xeno. I don't care. But yeah, I think that's about everything. I think I went over everything I wanted to talk about. I think it covered damn near everything. But like I had to re-record this, so I may have missed one or two things. I might actually just upload both videos of like the audio with the echo and then this one, so y'all can like, for those of y'all who don't really care about the audio, like the echo, y'all can go listen to that and see my comparisons and see what I said there and what I said here to see if I missed anything. That's actually not too bad. I might actually just do that, or just upload it all in one video, and this will be like a 2-hour video, or I might just upload them separately. But yeah, I might just upload both videos, the one with the fucked up audio and then this one, to, you know, like see the comparisons between the two and my reactions for whatever. But yeah, Monolith is the goatiest game developer company like ever. They are so amazing. But goddamn, yeah, go check out the goats in the description. Link a lot, Temmie J, Prez, and Xenobits. Go show them some love, show Monolith some love. Like, oh, I can't wait for this game. But yeah, that's about everything I wanted to cover about the combat. Like I said, I'm going to be covering other stuff about the trailer. Like I'm gonna do another video about explaining all the areas, another video about explaining all the characters, explaining all the story events, references to past Xeno games, and all that. Like, I don't know what the next video is going to be about, but it's definitely guaranteed. It is for sure going to be about this trailer. I just don't know which one to do next. But yeah, we got a lot of stuff to cover. There's a lot of stuff to go over, a lot of videos to make just off this trailer. So, but I don't know what's wrong with this community, bro. We make, well, this video is an hour long, just explaining like 20 seconds of gameplay that we see throughout the entire trailer. I made an hour long video on like this trailer yesterday. This like a 3-minute trailer. I made an hour long video. This community is dedicated, okay? I just love the dedication and passion that this community. But I'm now just realizing Mio's like little tattoo mark that we see on the 3 in the title screen is right here on her neck. What? And then Tyon's is on his hand, like on his palm, and then Noah's is on the back of his hand, Yuni's is on her chest. lands is on his chin. The only character we haven't seen their mark for yet is Senna. So maybe I'll look for that, but see, even more details that I'm just now discovering rewatching the trailer. But yeah, that's a combat. So I might fuck around and just upload both of these videos in one video so y'all can like compare the two, and I'm gonna just like put a timestamp of like, oh, go here for the better audio version. But I'm not really sure which one I want to do yet. But yeah, that's about it. I'm so excited. They couldn't have dropped this at a better time. They just dropped it out of nowhere and then pushed it up 2 months. It's releasing 2 months early. Like, what, Monolith? Why are you so good to us? But yeah, we don't deserve this. But yeah, that's about it. So I can't wait for the next video. As always, thanks for watching. Have a damn good day. Stay safe. Be well. And play some goddamn Xenoblade.